with YFP, but they managed to still win it out in a pretty good fashion. Just kind of stacks a lot against Landor. But again, like Roy pointed out, I'm really liking the setup. I actually love that T-Dog is on the deadlock because it's going to be really good for denying a lot of retake capability out of Envy as they make their way towards the B site.
Inspire joins the observer team, just watching over how this B hit is going to happen from the safest spot, and now could be tangled up in a barrier and forced to be within the site. Landor have a setup, and they hope to break down Envy, but it's Inspire that stays put, backs against the wall. Envy will fight back in the biggest of ways, and Landor flashed up with nowhere to go. That is an insane flawless pistol from Envy.
I love how I'm like, oh yes, T-Dog, I love it. He's going to throw the barrier mesh, and it's going to stop them. And then Inspire's like, dang, I'm just going to play in front of it. Like, what do you mean? And immediately is like, I'm just going to play in front of it, which is the correct thing to do, right? Play it on the site. And more than that, Landor just didn't even clear the corner. They didn't anticipate a potential, fight forward into them from one of the most aggressive teams. So, not to be super doom and gloom on Landor, but they're buying up Stingers again. They're going back towards B. Might be the exact same look, and it is a worrisome look, Lemon.
See if that deadlock barrier would want to be thrown again to try and trap Inspire, but even then, he's got backup, he's got friends, Envy got camera, and Chaotic jumps in, gets a head start, but didn't continue clearing the back corner. Why did Landor ignore that complete right side? Just the invisibility capes from Envy or something else. Hey, it took blood, sweat, and tears, though, to get that round done, but still an Envy win.
It's like Ravenclaw versus Slytherin. Like, I mean, it's the same thing we saw, right? Like, I guess I'll be as justifiably frustrated as Roy was out of Landor, as like buying up into it. And it's a different look, right? Corrode's a little bit different. You're going to have closer quarters engagements. But I'm just baffled by the fact that we haven't cleared the same corner, right? Chaotic tried to go for it. Someone tucks into the corner. You can maybe say the fact that it's a new map and they haven't, gotten into their regiment. But even then, it's like, you guys got messed up on it previously. Hopefully, third time's the charm, though. Even though they are a bit spread out, the spike is leaning towards the B site. Another key point in this is the fact that it's all pistols. We don't see a double up on the Stingers. So at least that adaptation is there in terms of the buys that Landor have.
And that Ares from KaneZera did a lot of yapping last round. I was too busy malding to take note of the 3K, but he was already doing some yapping in mid and is going to rotate over 3-stack over at A as Landor be using their Viper wall just to make their push a little bit easier. Off the Prowler will be marking Ion. Gonna hold the corner, ready to play off a KaneZera curveball if needed, but nonetheless a crossfire that even Exter can be involved in. A powerful equation, but Chaotic's good for openers. But where's the rest of Landor for the trades? It's pretty toe-to-toe, 3 versus 3. It is Envy with better weapons though, but Sacred recovers the Ares from KaneZera, and now you got a lot more firepower on the post plant if Envy lets you plant.
And look at that Ares making some noise, but Poppin's already in.
Okay, the smoke dissipates, and Envy are good for trades. 1 versus 2, though. Inspire have to push in. At least he'll be isolated against T-Dog. And Moose is injured. And really, Landor are just playing for their life, so time is against Inspire, and T-Dog is better, so Landor won't be going down without a fight.
Not the most traditional way to pick up the third round. Generally, we buy up into it, but still, nonetheless, Landor clenches it out. Big thing of note, though. We have some ultimates brewing already this early. KaneZera, very good, not only with the Ares, but just in general overall, has the run it back available. And you can't discredit that in terms of a retake. They've already had a really good lockdown on the B site, playing in front of that deadlock utility that's being utilized. So having the run it back just there and available, if necessary, is just even more of a reassurance. What?
Sometimes you just get caught throwing stuff. And good heads up play from T-Dog. And Envy are even more behind, but wait, this double flank from the left side. And KaneZera, if he wanted to invest the ult, he could make this pretty risk-free, but now it's just maybe a curveball play, and Sacred could be a victim. He's not careful, and it's the double walk up. Sacred takes a lot of damage. Could be teleporting out, and KaneZera will be able to finish off what he started.
I have a lot of mid control here, and that's in a sense kind of how this map plays, similar to Split in some cases of like you want to have a good amount of mid control, and then you can pivot into A or B depending on how much of that mid control you have to trip up the defensive line. That being said, though, again, Kane is the only one with a rifle and a good amount of utility still.
Turn around for Landor to tie things up, and if they can do it flawlessly, just to build up your economy, because when you're going up against Envy, it's a marathon.
30 seconds left.
Now prowlering up doesn't sound like correct, so I'm gonna just stick with Lander on the site, and Envy would have to break in using the run it back.
Spike
But
planted.
again, right, you pop that here, you don't really have as much util to help. Now, granted, Ion does have 2 smokes, a molly, and a stim. They're not looking to take the fight down. It's looking like they're falling back, grouping up together, and just waiting it out. There would be an entry point, but so early in the game, I don't think they want to risk it. But would it be weird to say that you should risk it this early in the game? I mean, it's Envy. They're known for taking fights and going aggro and doing all that stuff, but it's not going to happen, at least not for Kane.
Expecting a bit of a weaker half from Envy, just with the double duelists, less initiators, less, you know, just bells and whistles. And just based on how they had a 6-6 half against YFP to even in the previous map. So will be Landor carrying 4 rifles over, which always bodes well, because, hey, T-Dog can always buy up. He has 4 grand.
Another thing, because of how unorthodox that 3rd round played out, that's why they're able to have such a powerful and even potent round number 4 here for the side of Landor. Not only is it potent for them, but it really kind of, I think, shakes Envy. Envy is a team that's also very momentum-based, right? If you have someone like KaneZera and Ion just fragging out and going and getting all the eliminations, then they're going to just keep steamrolling like that. But the moment you kind of make them doubt, maybe kind of go for an ego check, challenge them, it immediately starts to kind of falter a bit. Hopefully Landor can keep that up.
And Landor, it's hard to assess how you're going to break into B and what the setup is from Inspire, because it just gets so scrappy once Landor do get into B. So they'll leave the sonic sensor behind and start really activating some lurks, which looking forward to seeing what Sacred and Moose can find. And, well, Peekaboo and Sacred gets taken care of.
Try to get a bit active on that, but unfortunately now that means that if they do decide to go towards B, it's going to be a bit unguarded, right? The sonic sensor is the only thing that protects the main choke, and even then, Poppins and KaneZera are here.
All right, run it back. KaneZera just doesn't want to bait too much either, but man, good awareness from Landor. And KaneZera still alive. It shuts down the showstopper. It's really KaneZera putting on a show. And Envy have the spike dropped right in mid. This is going to be so impossible for Moose.
Good read from Envy, just being like, okay, you guys want to go in mid? We'll be here. We'll be here in mid. Let's tango. Let's dance. And KaneZera, master of it, walking straight in with no gun out. Ion's going to grab them. And now Envy start picking up the steam back where they left off. It's a matter of them getting those rifles. I guess it was the right call to leave KaneZera alive into there, because if you look at some of the other ultimates as well as the economy, it's booming for Envy. But more than that, that's a big, gives them a bit of confidence back, right? When KaneZera makes those plays, manages to win out, it feeds into the way that they play. You also now deny a crucial ultimate from the enemy side. There is no raise rocket for the entry, but there is an annihilation for T-Dog as they, again, posture for this default. It's a bit of, no, not a default, sorry, stack towards B.
I respect Chaotic for wanting to make the space with the double satchels in, but I don't know how much you can really aim check Envy. They've shut down Chaotic almost every single time he's satcheled in like that. So Landor really slowing down the game is how they found some success on Bind, but ultimately falling over when Envy, once things do slow down, they take more map control as a result.
It's back to mid. Good old reliable, I guess, for Landor. They're like, well, we have rifles. Let's go back into mid and try and take some space. But Poppin's aware of it. At least now they know, okay, well, they're most likely going into A. Extra hears them.
Okay. Some initial damage, but here's the annihilation from T-Dog and doesn't make contact. NV gonna stand on business and try to make Landor stand and fire. The curveball. KaneZera owns his spot, but the re-swing from Landor is so strong. T-Dog with a big double. Bones with pretty much the finish. And Inspire obviously can afford to buy into the next. Can't say the same about T-Dog, but with how Rich Moose and everybody else are, could be worth for Inspire to do damage.
Honestly, it might be worth for Inspire to do damage to get that ultimate up also. You're one off. Your team could really use that. He's just going to spot into one. There it is. That could be an entry.
Running out of time, though. 1v1. A neural theft to try and secure the 1v1. He will not be netted. Is going to see him right around the corner, waiting for that second ping. He's further away from the door. He's going to stick the defuse. And T-Dog just falls in IQ. What a clutch from Inspire.
Hey, call it experience moment there from Inspire. He's been around for a bit. He's played a lot of FPS and just goes, you know what? Just going to stick it. He might overcook this, throws the net, and just calls the bluff, and that gives Envy a round. I mean, I commented on it, like, he got the first pick just to get that ult, pops the ult immediately, and is like, I can win this. And that's the patented Envy style of, like, you know what? We could just take that challenge and really put it into our favor.
Net doesn't even stop him from planting. I feel like it should, though. Like, mechanically, like, you know, your hands are tied up. You can't press the buttons. I don't know, but...
He also plays Sentinel. He knows. He's like, I know. I'm in your head.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Pros don't fake or whatever, but...
Something like that, right?
And we're going to try a different site. We haven't seen
portal closed.
Too much of this A side. Now... walking right into the hands of Exter, who could flash in, set up Ion, and just spam through the box, just like that.
Oh my
Chaotic
God.
sees ghosts, and he's gonna fight his demons after choking that one. Oh, jeez.
One enemy
I'm not gonna lie, that was silly. Goes for the peak, turns away, turns back, like, oh no! And then they fall as a result of it. Of course, KaneZera is going to get the last just for the fun of it. And now is the orb still up? I'm sorry, I was like, KaneZera trying to grab the orb after the round is over? No, just running around having a fun time because they're very close to getting their ultimate back up again. And there it is, a Landor timeout. They've lost 3 in a row after picking 2 up, and now they need to reset. Talk about maybe just the map geometry being a part of it. You can tell that I'm going to make the call that, like, Envy has probably scrimmed a lot on this. If not, they've just been grinding ranked to the point where they've run into Corrode so often that they're like, oh, we just kind of have the read on how this map is played. Because Exter just perfectly through the box, spams, finds one. And from there, everything collapses. Because that even baits for the player in the corner. I believe it was Poppin. I might be wrong because it was just so silly. I'm just, like, laughing in my own mind of, like, what is going on here?
Landor definitely don't want to be here. They banned Corrode against NBGs, so not wanting to float that as that decider tells me that definitely aren't scrimming this as much as everything else compared to Envy, who did pick this against NBG, I believe, and won it pretty handily in week 2, 13-6, or wait.
YFP.
13 to YFP 13 to 7.
YFP.
I had notes on Ascent,
You know what's even more interesting? You know what's even more interesting about that game? I really like the way KaneZera played, and KaneZera is doing a lot of the same stuff. So it's just like a VOD review or just like a little bit of a timing. Like if you just look at that match, it could be countered pretty well. We haven't really seen counters.
Chaotic is always good for these openers, but you just want this to waterfall into much more for Landor, and it's just an all-out war. Orbital strike that Landor barely dodges, an annihilation that Ion sidesteps, but right into the crosshair of T-Dog. So an absolute ult show match between the two, where Landor have now a 3 versus 1. Inspire's been a clutch god before, but T-Dog steadies his aim for the 4K.
There we go. We're understanding that the barrier mesh is not the end-all be-all. Inspire has consistently played in front of it, immediately aware. Just good for T-Dog to get that gun out and fast enough. But just a weird, wacky fight in mid, just brawling it through. I guess the thing I was kind of discussing was specifically how KaneZera takes control of space with a really nice utilization of movement and also the flashes that Phoenix has. That's mainly what I was referring to. But even right now, the fact that Landor was able to bring this up here and really press Envy's button really shows that they are figuring out this mid control.
Poppin gets caught in mid again, but you know, he kind of asked for it when he's spamming through and he's got the traces through the smoke, so gifting now the advantage to Landor. Now with the Nightfall in. Their issue has been getting through A main. That was probably what was going to be discussed in that timeout because they got annihilated by the Envy Crossfire in A main. So now trying to cut through A link and we're definitely slowing it down.
I mean, they have mid control yet again. We've been in this spot before. But this time, again, they've put a lot of pressure in towards A. They've even invested a Nightfall into this, yet they are still stuck in towards mid, waiting for the smoke before they can try and inch their way on B, where Inspire is ready. I think these are some kill trips set up.
Cage triggered.
Inspire's going to be expecting trouble. Now in a different spot, out of sight, out of mind, gets the spike down. It's going to delay things for Landor and play his life. And kind of hurt someone below him. And Inspire's just going to poke and prod at Landor, who's going to pit towards B main so that they can plant and fall back, forcing Envy to have to come to them. And I think Ion will be happy to do so with the Judge and Exter with the Dimensional Drift. But here's now the Dimensional Drift, the 3 versus 4 comeback here for Envy. Scouting all the way through the pit. When does he decide to decloak, not wanting to go through the back of B main? Activates the clone to get an edge in this duel against Chaotic and wins it along with KaneZera. The duelist deadly duo. Landor have to try and prevent the spike from getting diffused, and it's getting held, and it's too late. Envy got away with murder.
Through the pit, they just go for it anyway. Second time. Oh man, that something just fell. I literally had to sit up in my chair because I was like, what am I watching? I'll have to take care of that later, but to take care of this right now, just the second time that we've seen Envy just completely disrespect is like, oh yeah, we're just gonna diffuse. And it hasn't been read into, right? And even more than that, on top of that layer, is that he has to deal with players running at him. Moose can't even spam the angle to try and take down KaneZera because he has players running and running, bodies being thrown at him.
Landor taking much more care of the A main approach. And just not hesitating when they check the corners. You don't want to check it, feel like you did when there's someone there, pull a Chaotic. But I want to see Chaotic pull out the showstopper and not get dinged mid-air and just stuffs it right into the smoke. Converts an important kill. A star player now gone for Envy, but a Galaxy ahead of Landor to take care of. And planting A will still be successful.
And now the mesh is starting to work a lot better here for T-Dog. It's really denying Envy this rotate back in. But still, I have to take a look at what utility is still left. Poppin has that ult as well as a full kit.
Nightfall that's ready to be pulled once Envy's flank gets into position. And they're really not going to wait. They're going to try and take this 2v2, but Bones is just so good. And Landor stays steady at the front lines, and Envy maybe should have synced up after all, just thinking they didn't have time to wait for this flank to get into position. And it's a clean round for Landor.
Nice, they're starting to pick up some steam post timeout. They have managed to string together at least 2 rounds. They did get diffused on in that one, but at least the strategy was really solid, I would say. Like, I would still argue that they played that well and just got caught off guard because at the end of the day, Envy's just that team. They just have plot armor. They're consistently going to go for it. Now, speaking of the current plot, Landor's looking to claw their way back. They had 6-6 on bind. They're looking to get that here.
This is an aggressive push from Envy. The double duel is pushing up. And you got the stim beacon from Ion. Better respect that if you're Landor. And they're trying to stay calm and spawn, but how can you? Envy are stomping away, and Bones has to be ready. He's the only one I feel like has been able to silence Envy on these aggressive pushes. And Landor will space out and still remain standing.
And just look at how far back Landor is, kind of anticipating an eco rush of some kind. Like, we're just gonna all buy stingers and run at you. But Envy, no, they're playing this a lot slower, waiting for Landor to push in. And they're grouped up in mid, knowing that Landor love to abuse that position, go into that and take that space. It's good that they're not doing that, though.
Yeah, it's good for them to not be too antsy and just be ready to get on that A flank once the A hit happens.
Just waiting on the A site, but should be easy entry.
Teleport in. Sacred gonna be at the very back of the site. Now this is a play. If he can win that against Poppin. Oh, Poppin was just holding a sheriff, I think, so it's not gonna benefit. Meanwhile, Landor just make a bloodbath of the A site, not giving a chance for Envy to get away with the Thrifty, and carrying over 4 rifles would be ideal. Inspire's gonna be checked by Moose, and so be Landor being able to catch up a little bit before the half ends.
And with a lack of good utility and weaponry, it's just a go down to spike is the goal, right? Like, try to go down that spike, make sure that you can get some ult orbs, maybe even find a pick out on the exit. I mean, Ion's just kind of posted up in here. Inspire waiting for this push, calling that bluff again.
Last player standing.
This is giving vibes of the 6-6 half that Envy had against YFP, and then that they ultimately ran away with. And Envy started on defense there too, so kind of expecting a quote weaker side with the double duelists. But
to be fair, in that game, YFP, like, after picking up a Thrifty round 2, managed to, I believe, I'm just gonna pull it up. I think it was like 7-6 rounds that they pulled through in the half. Like, they did a really good job. And then only after a chunk of time, Envy was able to, like, claw their way back. Whereas here it has been a little bit more back and forth. Now, that might, I mean, it's still the same scoreline, 6-6, but hopefully it gives a little bit more to Landor of like, oh, you know, we're able to kind of adapt in the mid round and not really get stomped by Envy. Gives me a bit of hope also for that second half, which has been a bit of a problem for Landor.
yeah, Landor were a bit more lucky with an 8-4 starting half on their offense, but that was in a Fun Havers tournament. A little bit different. And different competition and chaotic. These first bloods are huge, but then who's covering him? Exter just gets a big double. Sacred maybe can take care of things, but Kane Zero, that was just his ult. You'll have to kill him again, and that's something that is gonna be a big, difficult thing to do. Maybe not for T-Dog, I guess. So Neural Theft, though, is gonna activate for Inspire, and that's gonna give sign of how the Landor duo is setting up.
For the timing, but they have already got Poppin rapping.
Player standing.
Oh, I thought Poppin had the heads up against T-Dog. T-Dog is really locking in for this match. He has had really pivotal kills for Landor. But Inspire and A go well together like peanut butter and jelly. He's been a monster here before. And the Annihilation will claim him and make it so he can't defuse. T-Dog is something else.
Oh my god. The funniest thing is that the animation plays for Inspire getting the final kill. That is so insane near the end. I don't really have much to say other than just, dang, T-Dog got the reflexes. First off of Poppin and then off of Inspire. I mean, honestly, it saved them. It brought them to the 6-6. So maybe the plot armor is shifting. Maybe it's two main characters battling against each other. Who's going to win? What arc are we in? When is, you know, the drama-free filler episode? I guess never, because it's always exciting with these two teams here in Challengers.
Very big deja vu, 6-6 half.
Been here in this place.
And T-Dog is carrying his team. Like, can we just say it? He's doubling everyone's kills. He's like one of the few that are able to shoot back against Envy. Won't discount the chaotic openers, although he gets bested by Kane. And now it's Envy just trying to even stay in their own spawn. Landor going for a big gamble aggro push down mid. And it's a red carpeted lane of Landor blood, but Bones kind of shows up when the team needs it. Double swing. Exter is still gonna challenge it and gets distracted by the Prowler. So Envy a little bit behind, and very much separated from each other.
It's back to mid every single time. Landor really enjoys having mid control, which I am starting to become a believer of, like Landor mid control and also just mid control in general on this map, because as pointed out, it really allows for the attacking side to pivot, and having that control early as the defender makes sure that they have a harder time pivoting. Now, this is going to be an A hit. Spike is slowly making its way towards there, but are they going to be trying to set up and get proactive? And they already have Spire down towards A link. It's going to be a rotate out towards spawn side. So they group up together and fight. There really isn't too much utility other than 2 smokes from Sacred on the defuse. So that's huge.
And Spire doesn't want to get too far away and leave Poppin out to dry, because someone has to watch this Spike. Haunt first. Landor showed their hand. Poppin ready to respond. Great headshot into Bones. He was low, but moves and Sacred. How do they do it? Envy, the team up, the 2 versus 3. Win in their favor, gives them the pistol.
Ooh. There we go. Picked up by Envy. By the way, I like that plant a lot. In ranked, I run that plant also because, you know, maybe I guess it's because, right, especially the way Envy plays, it's very good to like fight not only with a teammate off and off angle, but also where Poppin was, where you can kind of take that initial fight off the flood. And it really allows a team like Envy, who's notorious for fighting and wanting to go for these little scrappy duels, to continue with that momentum. But this is going to put Landor in a bad spot. I've been hearing this place before, something about deja vu and bind, but whatever the storyline may be, they're looking clean.
Moose lost on how to work with Sacred because there's 2 lanes to watch and way too much to handle, and a Marshall that's yapping away, so Envy gonna make this round very quick. But wait, this flank is something. Nope. Ion denies.
Ion's yapping away. I love that terminology. It took me a little bit to notice, but yeah, I mean, these guns are yapping. I think Bones is the only one that has a chance here, but even then, the time's not in their favor.
1 enemy
Got
remaining.
like 17 HP, and Ion sneezes his direction. Bones, even through pinging Poppin, can't win, so now it's only 3 weapons into the bonus for Envy, so Landor are making Envy sweat, but this is the half that Envy would like to run away on.
True. Thankfully, we do see better of Landor in terms of their buys. Now they have a good buy up here. T-Dog, though, it's going to be hard for T-Dog to carry on the defensive side, right? Because at the end of the day, yeah, you could go for lurks like T-Dog went. You could go for flanks. You could go for stuff like that. But realistically, when it comes down to the retakes and the site holds, you're playing a Sentinel. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to kind of entry in and take fights.
Even through all the blinds, okay, Chaotic is good for 1. Kane Zera is just this whole army. You can blind Envy, you can trip them, you can throw a barrier, you can put them in a cage, and they'll still find the key and they'll still kick down the door. So this was a pretty important rifle round for Landor to convert. 1v4. I mean, I don't think the gods could even do that, but T-Dog has had a really solid corrode. You need a really well-rounded Landor, and Landor to peak to try and win against Envy.
Consistently could just get impressed by these guys of like, damn, just being able, just jumping off to the side, like, oh yeah, you're gonna net me, but I'm gonna jump off to the side and catch you off. He could have also Ion spammed the wall and probably taken down T-Dog, and that's what I meant. Like, T-Dog cannot single-handedly rally this team. It is gonna be an eco going into this, so I doubt that there's gonna be much of a timeout or a reason for one, but there needs to be a change, because you're on the precipice of getting double digits for Envy. They're so close. They're literally 3 rounds away from getting match point, 4 from winning it all. And this one is pretty much guaranteed considering the buy and the economic state of Landor. Unless we see some crazy stuff out of T-Dog, getting 2-piece, maybe popping an ultimate, going absolutely nuclear on this hole.
Spire is going to try and hold down the triple flank while Landor's anchors try to keep themselves afloat. And besides removing Egster, Landor is just going to have to watch this round sail by. Inspire swings ego chows, as the COD kids would say, into Landor, and it's not going to work out for him. And that gives Landor some much needed rifles to either save or attempt to turn this round in their favor.
Attempt they shall.
I did not expect Landor to actually try and push this.
That's going.
Me neither. I'm not gonna lie. I think the only thing would be maybe Chaotic gets his ultimate, but even then, that's a stretch, right? Like, that is a bit of a stretch, and especially like early in the game, yeah, you know, Chaotic try and go for the ultimate. You're on the first half. The second half, you're 10-6. You're going down. I think it's a bit rough. I don't think that that's going to be the case. And I mean, just looking at the replay as well, the amount of pressure that T-Dog faced was insane. Cainzera definitely used to taking fights like that, scrappy in the fight, but also fearless in the face of the danger. Homie was under every status condition. Truly, the little Pokemon Beebo has been flashing him, and he still goes and fights. He still goes and takes those challenges.
Take the spot from Chaotic. Wouldn't mind some initiation with the showstopper, but just the way that Envy are so good at reacting to Chaotic when he satchels in. Now he can't really, I mean, not that you do that as much on defense, but silencing Chaotic. All right, try to get proactive with the showstopper. As soon as you hear the dimensional drift, Envy's in your head, they're in your nightmares, and Chaotic can't get the one he was looking for. So Envy leads the round with, yeah, some damage in their health pools. But it's still a 5 versus 3 strong head start as Moose hopes to convert a play. He will not shy away and will anchor down one.
It's going to be a rotate called for Envy. But at the end of the day, they've already done way more than enough damage in this round to just lock and guarantee it in. And I mean,
No charges.
it would take a lot out of Landor. I'm surprised we didn't see a timeout round 17. I'm surprised that we didn't see some sort of change
30 seconds
out of
left.
them. I guess they fought a little bit cleaner together. They tried to go for that fight out in towards B main, but even then, like, they couldn't get ahead of it. Envy's the kind of team that, like, yes, we thrive in chaos, and I assumed Landor would be able to control some of that chaos based off of how they played in other maps, but I guess it's just such an unpredictable, unstable little catalyst that Envy is, that inevitably, no matter how much you try, no matter how stable you can get it, it's just going to, you know, it's going to be a hex core for all those arcane enjoyers. It's just going to go out and pop, and then you have to really piece everything back together.
And Envy are 37-9 on maps for a reason. Like, no team has been able to download this team. And like, Landor have the talent, and they're trying to change things up with fun little inserts from Chaotic in these corners, or Moose standing on business when he's 1v4 on the site solo. T-Dog was 17-11, was doubling the kills of everyone else at one point. Like, everyone from Landor is contributing to some form of success, but you can't take down the stage champs. I think 11-6 will help. At least Landor will have time to think about how they want to do it.
I guess the one little like inkling is that we do have some alts being churned up, and I keep saying that, but at the end of the day, that is a nice way to swing things in your favor. Problem is that so does Envy. At the end of the day, right, Envy is just really fundamentally understanding the way that they need to be playing. And here in Challengers, they have two people with really good aim. Inspire, who has great timings from years of experience. Poppin, who's just getting simple calls and allowing the setup for these stars to shine. And, you know, yes, it's two different stars and you'd think they'd clash, but no, they go really well, hand in hand. That's not even to mention Eggster, who's the one-trick pony of the century, has probably the most insane mechanical play on Yoru that I've ever seen. And honestly, wouldn't be surprised in all of like competitive Valorant, just the best Yoru objectively. It's a perfect storm in some cases. Let's see what Landor has in store. I might be a little bit down on them, but hopefully the stocks can go up. Ismo, bring us some faith, I guess. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore at this point.
Yeah, we need a W Landor, Wandor even.
Let's
Try and hold it down against the Yoru. Eggster creeps around, he teleports out. It was all, it must have been the wind, says Chaotic. And the barrier is all set up. Landor have denied B, so back to square one.
Good setup. They're going for a B retake, it seems, which is fine. But now that they've gotten some pressure towards B, they immediately flood back into it. There it is. Annihilation
Hey,
lands.
went fishing. Nothing there. And orbital strike from Ion. just kind of gets everyone to scatter, and everyone kind of running into each other there in the corner. Landor really stifled the momentum here of Envy.
Nice re-clear into B and taking those fights together. A crossfire they set up, and even though T-Dog is down, Moose was able to capitalize off of the fact that the stun went through and Ion was looking in the wrong direction. Now this is most definitely a hit on the A site, right? They already have Inspire locked into here, but how do they get to it? Is Poppin gonna try and work his way into mid?
Poppin says, screw the spike, I'm gonna feed. But actually just tried to go 1v3. I respect it. Definitely the A main pathing would have been safer. But hey, it's okay. You can just go next and force a lot of repurchases from Landor. Mainly just 2. And where the economy is at from Landor, you're not gonna have the best of buy going forward.
I think the only cope that I could say is that potentially this Viper's Pit can lock down a chunk of the site. Maybe even Moose swaps with T-Dog, but doubt that. I think, again, it's just it's still the fundamental layer of how Envy plays, just jumping out and taking fights, needs to be challenged. And the way that Landor did it by just holding across and like making sure to re-clear into space and challenging and even allowing to give up some of that space on the B site before going for it, all that stuff, it's great, it works, but how long can they keep it up? Right, because the one thing that Envy's really good at is by being able to kind of change up where they're going. A nice little mix-up in the mid-round.
With all this kind of preemptive deadlock util at B, it's... would have liked to seen that earlier, because this is just going to ruin Envy's day. Decide to now hit the opposite site. You got the run it back. You got a Nightfall if needed. And now teleporting at the back, KaneZera will be respawning in, and Hexter, there's just so many clones, so many Envy members to kill, and Landor do a good job of dwindling down their forces, but it's just Bones, and now he's just got solo Nightfall, and Bones still wins that, so it's gonna be talking a lot of smack to Poppin later, bit of hopping around. Bones is gonna humble 3 this round. But he may just get backstabbed by Inspire here very soon. He has to wrap around, and actually Moose is going to be first to check that.
Pops the ult to ensure the victory here. That's how desperate Landor is for this.
They didn't cover the spike. So...
oh my gosh.
All right, Neural Theft into watch this W. And that, you know, that was a round of all time.
What a throw! There's no other way to sugarcoat it. That was just... they had the ultimate popped. You made the perfect call of this. The spike's not even covered. And then they just run into Inspire. Trying to catch the timing, and it just doesn't work. Which is crazy, considering that Landor looked pretty solid. They started to control the bits and pieces of the chaos, and it just fell through. Little black hole. Don't know where everything went.
Void in your mind, it grows, and the lead for Envy grows. So they're 1 round away from remaining undefeated and going up against the other undefeated team here in VCL. Playoffs on the horizon. Landor standing in front of Envy and using the wall to their advantage. Moose 1 for 1. The trades from Envy are too good. KaneZera's in the equation, hoping to subtract Landor, but also pick up the spike. KaneZera clutches under pressure, and it's Chaotic and T-Dog. One of them with a stinger to save this. Chaotic at 10 HP. Don't need a man, but he's gonna need some help very soon. T-Dog rounds the corner. 2v2 for the win for Envy. Spike down. Where's the help from T-Dog? Delayed swing. But ultimately, it's KaneZera on top, and Envy undefeated still in Challengers.
Just at a loss for words, but honestly, as much as we instigate chat and say like, oh, Envy this, Envy that, they're the top team for a reason. Both in terms of like viewership and in terms of intrigue for people who are interested in Valorant